Yo, what's the deal? We back in this motherfucker once again. It's about 3 a.m. on the West Coast. Y'all already know how we get down. Now, I did a previous video that I deleted because I wasn't satisfied with the quality of it, and I wanted to thoroughly explain what I was talking about. But my phone wouldn't allow me to complete the video. The battery died, so I made sure I had to re-up, make sure everything is good, so I'm going to be able to explain everything thoroughly this time. 5:55, so if you've seen the last video, don't worry about it. I'm going to make everything as clear as I can on this one. So for the 100 people, I think it's about 100 people who seen the last video, I'm going to make this video to clear everything up. What's up? What's going on, Felicia? What's the deal? What's the deal? Shout out to everybody that's up. I know it's probably 3 a.m. on the East Coast. It's all type of times all around the world. Team No Sleep. You already know what it is, man. You know what I mean? Team No Sleep. What up? What up? So let's get to the point of the video. Again, I don't want to take up too much time. This is a video I did before, but I'm doing it again. Yeah. What's up? What's up? What's up? I see everybody. Everybody in this motherfucker. So again, how to be a psychopath in real life. Now, what does that mean? Most of the time when we hear psychopath, it's a negative connotation with it. Somebody who's crazy, somebody that's mentally ill. It's actually categorized as a mental illness. Somebody who's schizophrenic, which means that they are split in their consciousness. 1 foot in the spirit realm with 1 foot in the physical world. So based on the times we are in, modern times, anything spiritual is considered a mental illness. They don't say you spiritual because you're into numerology and astrology and synchronicity. They'll call you schizophrenic. So I'm here to let you know those are incorrect definitions, but you have to see it for yourself. Anybody who has experienced synchronicity know it to be a real experience. It's not just something that is being made up. It's a real experience. And it's really beyond logic. You can't use logic to define spirit. And that's the problem with today. People try to use all these scientific, medical, technical terms to describe the spiritual experience, and it's always going to fall flat on its face. Now let's get to it. So what does psychopath means? Whenever you're dealing with psycho, you're dealing with the psyche. Psycho is psyche. Psyche is the mind. Path, they say, is suffering. So a psychopath means a person that is mentally suffering. That's how they define it. But if we go back a little further, we see psychopath just means to manifest your mind, because we also know it's a word called psychedelic, which means to make your mind visible. It's the same thing. So if a psychedelic experience is considered a spiritual experience, somebody who is a psychopath, as they consider a lunatic or a maniac, is just a person who is in tune with their shadow. Now, what is the shadow? The shadow is different from your personality. Your shadow is different from your ego. It's a different aspect of your soul. There's various aspects of your soul. However, those who choose to live out the psychopathic path, not to be a maniac. See, this isn't really about doing anything physical. This isn't really about creating mayhem physically, but this is for the hell raisers. This is for those who's ready to raise hell in this motherfucker. Now, what do I mean by that? It's for those who's willing to use their mind to extend their will to have a certain experience. In other words, somebody who is willing to see their mind manifested from their shadow side. Peace, family. What's the deal? Now, let me say that one more time. A person that's willing to manifest their subconscious mind physically. Now, that isn't always a pleasant experience, because now you're working with your shadow. See, your shadow is like the silhouette of who you are. Exactly. Chaos and destruction. This is only for the chaos beings. This is only for the hell raisers. So, if you're not with the shits, it's not going to resonate with you. Now, moving right along. The psychopath, because that's what it's called, the psychopath, the path of the psycho, or the psycho. The path of the psyche, the path of the mind. What up, Jory? I see you out there. The path of the mind. That means you choose to walk the path of the mind to manifest your mind in the physical realm. That's what a psychopath is. But of course, as I said, these people are labeled schizophrenic. You know what I mean? What's up? What's up, William? You know what I mean? Again, I'll be seeing y'all. Y'all definitely don't be getting no sleep. You know what I mean? What's up? So, now, to deal with your shadows. Now, this is called shadow work or shadow magic. You know, people may already be familiar with those terms. This is essentially what you're doing. What you're doing is manifesting through your shadow. To manifest through your shadow is to make or to bring to your awareness your subconscious thoughts, the positive and the negative. That's why it's about chaos and destruction. It's not just about you're doing this for a positive experience. You're also doing it to get over any fears that may be lingering in your subconscious mind that you may not be aware about. This is what shadow work is. So to do shadow work, you must deal directly with your shadow, which is a separate aspect of yourself. You must deal directly with your shadow. If you want a better example of what a shadow is, just take, for instance, a deity. Let's just say Osiris. You know what I mean? Your uncle is a genius. You already know what it is. There's a lot of geniuses out here, even though they don't get the proper credit they deserve. So if we're dealing with the deity, for example, Osiris, if you have a statue of Osiris on your altar, you're dealing with Osiris's shadow. Okay? So whenever you have things on your altar, you see images of deities, that is a shadow of that deity. And it is through that shadow that can connect you to that deity. It is through the statue or the shadow of the deity or the number or the life form or the spirit, whatever it is that you're doing. It is through the shadow of that energy that you're able to connect with that energy directly. You are using the shadow of that deity. So when we bring it back to ourselves, when we are manifesting through our shadow, because we can manifest through our shadow. However, your shadow is the aspects of yourself that are primordial or premortal or what it basically is before the logic kicks in. This is the first thoughts you have before you come to your senses. Meaning, somebody step on your shoe, your first thought may to be beat their ass. But when logic kicks in, you're like, it's not really worth it. Let it slide. So that very first thought, that instinctual thought, is the shadow or your silhouette. Now, you could say, okay, can your shadow get you into a lot of dangerous situations? Absolutely. But we're talking about chaos and destruction. We're talking about you are willing to go through that hell, that chaos and destruction to see what you're really made of and to see what's really going on a subconscious level. Because if you never put in the work, you will never know. And you will wonder why you sometimes get sabotaged in life because we're not doing shadow work, because that's the scary work. That's the destructive work. That's the work that you need to destroy. That's the work that you're going to have to go to war to bring in this new way of life, these new thoughts. You got to go to war with your shadow. Or some people call their fears. What we consider fear is just your shadow. It's the aspects of ourselves that we are unfamiliar with. That's why they appear to be scary. We are just unfamiliar with our shadow because we're not taught about the shadow. Most people don't know what the fuck the shadow is. They think about the shadow is, the shadow that comes from the sun, when it's hitting you. It's not that shadow, even though that's a good example of what a shadow is. It's an aspect of you. It's not you. It's an aspect of you. Or I would say it all is you, but it's an aspect of you that you can work with. Can't you send the thought without physically doing it and achieve the same result? That's essentially what I'm talking about with shadow work. Because we're not really doing anything physically. This isn't that you have to go somewhere and do something in particular. You can be in your own household working with a particular energy and seeing what that energy has to say to you, or working with a particular energy. Let me give you an example if that doesn't make sense. So as I said before, if you was to be working with Osiris, for example, the Lord of the Underworld, or Asar, the original name, Asar or Asaru, whatever you want to call it, the Lord of the Underworld. What is the underworld? The underworld is a subconscious mind, right? The underworld is the subconscious mind. So for you to work with the Lord of the underworld, the ruler of the underworld, that's just a key phrase of saying, or another way of saying, the subconscious mind. To work with Osiris is to work with the subconscious mind. To work with the subconscious mind, again, this is all of the things that are unknown to the conscious mind. This is the unknown aspects of ourselves that we feel, but we may not allow ourselves to experience. You feel it, meaning that first thought. When you see an attractive woman, you may feel a certain type of way, or you see an attractive guy, you may feel a certain type of way. That's the shadow. The shadow is that feeling you get, that initial feeling without being filtered by your logic. It's before it's filtered through the logic. It's that pure experience. That then we do all this mind shit, then we either talk ourselves into it or out of it or whatever. But we talking about that feeling that's generated before you even start thinking. We're not talking about thought. This not even resonating with thought. This is the feeling, the emotion you feel when you notice something that has a subconscious pull on you, because you may not know why you feel that way about a particular thing. It may not make logical sense to you, but it makes sense to your shadow, because your shadow goes beyond logic. Your shadow is like a wild animal not haunting, but hunting for food. I guess that's like haunting. I guess that sounds the same, whatever. So, to deal with shadow, or to do your shadow work, this isn't you going anywhere. This is all about chaos and destruction. This is destroying the aspects of you that are sabotaging yourself, that you may not be aware of. And most of us are not, because again, this isn't something that we learn how to do. This is something we learn how to do after the fact. After we done been through a lot, then we come to the realization of what's really going on here. So to do shadow work, to deal with your shadow, to become acquainted with your shadow, because your shadow has a personality that may be different from your physical personality, or the personality you may be aware of. Actually, it is a difference. The personality that you, like who you feel you are, your uniqueness is different from your shadow. It's a completely different aspect of yourself that it doesn't really deal with this physical world. It may react to this physical world, but it doesn't really deal in this physical world. That's why most people do shadow work in their dreams. But for us that may not want to do that, you want to do something more legit. If you may not be good at dream work, how can you do shadow work? This is what it means to have a psychedelic experience. To have a psychedelic experience is to manifest your mind, to see what's really going on in your mind. So every time you spark up that weed with that THC, you are doing that to see what's going on in your own mind. That's the experience you are having. To have a psychedelic experience is to see what's going on in your own mind, to make what's invisible visible. That's the spirituality of doing anything when it comes to drugs, or when it comes to getting deeper into your own mind. Again, some people use meditation, some people use exercise, some people use chants, some people roll around in a circle. However you get into it. But these are the aspects of yourself that you have to go to war with to extinguish. They don't just go away nicely. They don't just walk away nicely. You have to go to war, because it's unconscious, and it's not bad, it's not negative, it's just an aspect of who we are. Because if you are well acquainted with your shadow, it can be your aid instead of your enemy. The difference between your shadow being your enemy and your aid is you understanding it. If you have an aspect of yourself that you don't agree with, you can't be familiar with your shadow. If you feel like, oh, it's something about me that I need to change, or it's something about me that I don't fully accept, such as, damn, why do I want to beat everybody's ass for no reason, just for little shit? You don't really accept it. You feel like that's not moralistic. I can't be that way, around the status quo. And again, the shadow isn't for the status quo. The shadow isn't for social. Because to be a psychopath means to be antisocial anyway. A psychopath is antisocial, because a psychopath is only fixated with making their mind visible. That's why they don't give a fuck about being social with people, because they're a psychopath. Their path is to manifest their psyche, to see what's going on in their mind. However, who does this sound like? This sounds like modern day spiritual people, right? This doesn't sound like a crazy person. This sounds like an enlightened person who knows what's going on, right? Let's see. I have never used weed or drugs. I also took a nap to deal with these issues. Is this the same? If you remember your dreams. If you don't want to use drugs, then you must remember your dreams. You must do dream work. If you don't know nothing about dream work, check out Dream Yoga. Dream Yoga. That will get your dream work on point. So if you want to be drug free, then you must do dream yoga. Of course, meditation, exercise, and all the things you're doing anyway, or should be doing anyway. But to be a psychopath is to walk the path of the psychic. So you see, psychic, psycho, psyche, this is all the same thing. Manifesting your mind, psycho, it's all the same stuff. So don't let the negative connotations deter you from what's really going on. Again, it's war of the mind. May the strongest mind win. So if you got the so-called authority telling you that you're crazy and you need to pop pills and you need to change your ways and you need to grow out of it and you need to grow up and you need to mature and all this stuff, or be more like them, then you already know it's a fucking problem. So it sounds a lot like spiritual people, right? Psychopaths or lunatics or maniacs aren't as destructive as we may think. It's really spiritual people. Or you can say it can be the people that, may have, you can say, a drug problem, the so-called crackheads and drug addicts and drug fiends. You can say they are psychopaths as well. But ultimately, they are on the same path. They're just going about it in a different way. You can say they became dependent on the drugs instead of using the drugs as a tool. It became necessary. But if you're watching this video, you're probably not dealing with a drug addiction or maybe some herb. You probably like smoking some herb. But if you want to kick the habit, if you ain't really fucking with it, then just don't sleep for about 72 hours, drink a gallon of water, and dabble into some urine therapy. If you brave, if you really want to kick the habit, that's a quick little way to do it. If you're really serious. If you don't give a fuck about doing that, keep sparking up, go into your meditation, and manifest your psyche. Work with your shadow. That's what you do when you're doing drugs anyway. You're working with your shadow. You're not working with your personality. Whenever you enter an altered state of mind or a trance state of mind, you're not working with your shadow. You're working with the aspect of yourself that is no longer physical. Somebody said they used to smoke crack. Man, crack is just coke. It's just hardened coke. And coke come from the coca leaf. And the coca leaf is natural. So I'm not here saying anything is wrong with drugs. But they are a powerful substance because they do manifest what's going on in your mind, and you can get addicted to the experience because it is a spiritual experience. That's what you get addicted on, the actual experience, not necessarily the drug. It's what's the drug, it's the experience the drug is giving you. Let's see. Exactly, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Crack and baking soda. Crack is just a cheaper drug. When it's mixed, it's just cheap. So if you're really gonna do drugs, if you're really about that coca leaf, do cocaine. Don't do crack because it's gonna fuck you up. But if you're not about that white girl, to just stick to your herb and your alcohol. If you even doing what deities help you with dreaming, there's a deity called Psyche. There's a deity called Morpheus. See, a lot of people only know Morpheus from the Matrix, but Morpheus is an actual deity. Morpheus is a god of dreams or sleep. Morpheus is a god of dreams or sleep. It's one or the other. You have a god of sleep and you have a god of dreams, but you can work with Psyche and you can work with Morpheus if you want to enhance that dream work. That's what the deities are for. So if you want to enhance your dreams, work with Morpheus. And that's from the Greek pantheon. And crack babies turned out to be super talented. It's because of that coca leaf. That coca leaf is a miracle, just like weed. You can say so-called weed babies are geniuses as well because you're dealing with natural elements and you're dealing with natural herbs that have been altered by man. If you do not alter the drugs, then they are good for you. They are pure. People used to just chew on a coca leaf and they didn't need nothing. It would energize them through the whole day. All you had to do was chew on that shit. You know what I mean? Somebody said DMX. Shout out to DMX. But we know what it is. If you listen to DMX music, then you know that he does shadow work. And he just reveals his own shadow work through his music. That's what makes his music so magnetic, so chaotic, and so forceful. I'm not going to call it destructive, but impactful. That's what makes his music so impactful, because he is revealing his own shadow work and his own fight with his angels and demons, or whatever you want to call it. He's just revealing his own mind through his music. And that's what makes him so iconic, because not everybody is willing to do that. Not everybody is willing to be that open about their inner struggles, as we all have them. So again, I don't want to make this too long. I just wanted to clear up the last video I did. And let's see, is there any way I can get over weed anxiety around other people? Weed anxiety. Wait, so are you saying you have anxiety and you have to smoke weed and that makes you unnervous, or are you trying to say it differently? Ask your question in a different way so I can fully understand what you mean. Why do you get marks on your body while astral traveling and doing self-deification work? You have marks because, remember, your mind becomes physical when you have a psychedelic experience, which happens in the dream world. You may have marks from astral travels because you really did astral travel. So tap into that. You have marks because you really did astral travel. That wasn't no bullshit. And that's something that you can cultivate deeper. Now, you can say you may not have liked the experience. You don't want motherfuckers scratching all on you, but you must take the work more seriously. So if you're ending up with marks and you don't know how they got there, that means your memory isn't strong enough to remember how they got there. So you must enhance your memory. If you want to enhance your memory, work with the number 2. So you can just chat 222, 222, 222, 222. You can also work with the number 4, 444, 444. But I would say more so 2. That's more of a feminine energy. 4 is more so like an earthy energy. If you want to be consistent, building up consistency. 2 is more like, working with your soul, doing soul work. So you have marks on your body because you actually did go somewhere and you actually did have an experience. You just want to be more in control of the experience, but you have to tame your emotions or do that shadow work so that you can have more control over your shadow self or your shadow. To do shadow work is to gain control over your shadow and make it your aid instead of your enemy. Make it somebody who's known to you instead of somebody that's unknown to you. That's all it is, because the shadow is with us no matter what. We can't disassociate ourselves from our shadow, just like we can't disassociate ourselves from our ego. We can't disassociate ourselves from our name, our personality, our heart, what we feel in our heart. We can't disassociate ourselves from any of these things, so they're not going nowhere. We might as well fuck with each other if we gonna be here. There ain't no point of we being so close together and we don't fuck with each other. So you want to make these things your ally. You want to make your name your ally. You want to make your personality your ally. You want to make your heart your ally. And you want to make your shadow your ally. And of course, you want to make your soul your ally. I think I missed the question. Yeah, so hold on. Let me scroll back up. Let me answer this question. What about deities for self-healing, like your past in order to grow? Work with Isis or Aset. You can actually work with them together. Work with Asar and Aset, the lord of the underworld and the goddess of healing. So work with Aset and Asar collectively so you can enhance the dreams as well as healing the subconscious mind. So work with Aset and Asar collectively, or any 2 deities that you resonate with that are married together. So if you don't fuck with the Egyptian pantheon, do whatever you want to do. Oh, okay, you say you get anxiety when you smoke. So weed gives you anxiety? That's interesting, because weed is supposed to take away the anxiety. So if you smoke and you get anxiety, oh, okay, actually, I know what you're talking about. Because some people do smoke weed and they start feeling weird. So everybody doesn't necessarily have a positive experience. Like, because you are becoming aware of your subconscious mind. So some people start to become extra sensitive to ghosts and to spirits, and or as you say, some people become anxious and feel anxiety is because you're becoming more aware. You're becoming more sensitive to realities that are unseen. That's all it is. So you get anxiety because weed makes you more sensitive to your six and your seven senses. That's all weed is doing. It's making you more sensitive to your higher chakras or your higher awarenesses, whatever you want to call it. That's all it is. So it's an experience that it takes a little time, but you must want to understand it. If you want to understand it, you will understand it. But if it's just something that you don't really understand, you don't want to understand, then it's not going to make sense. So if you really want to understand why, you must go deeper. Don't go away, go deep. Smoke more weed and see what that does. To see, manifest more of your mind and become more acquainted with yourself. Become more acquainted with yourself. You know what I mean? So, what is it, Nebek do? Nebek, I believe that's an Egyptian deity. Just use Google. That's all you gotta do. Of course, I don't know what every single deity in the world does. So just if you have any questions, just check out Google and you can just type in goddesses of healing, goddesses of war, gods of whatever. It'll have a whole list of gods for whatever you're trying to do. So whether it's money, whether it's war, whether it's relationships, whether it's love, they have a deity that resonates with whatever walk of life you choose to walk path. You walk whatever path you choose to walk down, excuse me. Let's see. Yes, weed does make you super conscious, but just understand the process. Just know that's what's going on. You are becoming more sensitive to alternate realities or different dimensions that you may not be able to perceive with your physical eyes. So once you understand what's going on, it should take the anxiety away because you at least have some type of understanding. Just sit back, relax, close your eyes, go deep and meditate and just chill. You know what I mean? Don't try to be social and have party and drink alcohol and do all this stuff. Get comfortable with the sensations first and chill. But that's if you really appreciate the herb. You must appreciate the plant though. You must appreciate the spirit of the plant. I told you all about the spirits of things. You must appreciate the spirit because it's the spirit of the herb that you're interacting with more so than the actual physical green plant. Give respects to the herb, the spirit of the herb, and you will have a different experience. That's why I say a prayer before you smoke. Like get into a spiritual mindset before you smoke weed. Don't just light this shit up and you don't have protection around you. You want to have protection around you. So spark your shit up after you. However you call your protection, you can call on Ptah, you can call on Anubis, you can call on Sekhmet, you can call on Het Haru, the war goddesses or war gods, Ogun, Shango, whatever. Call out your protection so that you will be protected and go deep and explore. You know what I mean? So we opens up the fifth circuit of the brain. Yeah, so for all my scientific technical people, I appreciate your input. So when I speak, then it may not make sense. But for the more scientific people, then there you go. It opens up the fifth circuit of the brain. So for people who understand that language, there you go. So again, I just wanted to redo the video I tried to do last time. It didn't come out right. So instead of keeping it up, I took it down and I did it again to make it better. So hopefully this gave some type of clarity of what I was saying before. And if this is your first time watching it, hopefully you gain insight from it. So I'm gonna be back at y'all later on today. Like I said, we're gonna keep it going every day. It's been hard. I'm not gonna lie. It's been hard. It's been hard keeping up with everything. Starting the Facebook groups. You get what I'm saying? It's been hard, but I'm gonna stay. Y'all gonna see me every day, regardless of whom and what. So I'm gonna see y'all a little bit later. I don't know. It's 3 a.m. here. Give me about. You will see me less than 12 hours. I say that you will see me again. So for everybody that's tuning in, I appreciate you all over the world, and I'll get back at y'all a little bit later. You know what I mean? So peace, hotep, work with your shadow. Get acquainted with your shadow. I look tired. Oh, you already know. We're not sleeping around here. I'm supposed to look tired. I'm going to look tired when you see me again. But I understand the purpose. It drives me. It gives me more motivation. It gives me more passion to stay focused and to get done what I need to get done. So by the time it's all said and done, I'm gonna have works to show for it. You know what I mean? But I gotta. Sometimes you can't sleep. Peace, 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 God. Peace to the guys. Peace to the goddesses. I'll get at y'all a little bit later. So let me get up out of here. Y'all be cool. Peace. Hold tight.